right, guys, it is Thanksgiving week, the week that Clemson fans have been waiting for. South Carolina fans were not looking forward to this week until Saturday night. They actually returned a good number of tickets that they didn't buy. South Carolina fans didn't buy because they probably didn't think this was going to be a real exciting game they wanted to come watch. Obviously, things changed a little bit when they just put a total beatdown. I mean, nobody gave them a chance to win, but not only did they win, they did a total beatdown on Tennessee, which to me tells me a lot about Tennessee and some other things as well. But all of a sudden, this game has a little more spice to it, a little more interest on both sides of the ball, a little more national attention. Clemson has to keep winning. Obviously, with South Carolina's gift they gave Clemson Saturday night, now there's actually a pretty clear path to the playoff for Clemson. You kind of know a couple things. If any of those happen, you've got a chance. So, but you don't have a chance unless you go out there and you defeat South Carolina. Saturday noon. I know the fans would love to have a night game. If I knew the circumstances, I might have even been okay with a night game, but we love the noon game. So, Davis, keys for the game this week.
Well, it's going to sound like a broken record here, but
run the ball.
Run the ball. Okay. Get the running game going. Particularly, I mean, at home, they've just been so much better. I think in overall execution, minus the turnovers, which that's not really an execution thing. That's just poor luck, bad ball security, things like that. But, this offense operates so much better when it's able to run the ball, stay ahead of the chains, keep your entire playbook open. And that really goes for any offense. But, with as sporadic as this passing game seems to be week to week, I think they really need to do that. And they've been doing it well. So, go right, keep ride the hot hand, so to speak, if you're doing that. And then defensively, I think, you alluded to this in another video, but getting pressure on Spencer Rattler, I think, is key, because this is an offense for South Carolina now that's coming in here with a ton of momentum after they had what was been an outlier in terms of offensive performance. I mean, they hadn't looked like that at all this season, and Spencer Rattler really has not been as good and as productive as they expected him to be coming in this year.
I think Spencer going into the game Saturday night, had 8 touchdowns, 9 interceptions.
Yes.
And he got 6 touchdowns.
Yes.
So almost a season's worth in one night.
So that basically would have been like DJ of 2021 going through that struggle and then all of a sudden doing something like that against a top 5 team nonetheless. So, but Clemson has something Tennessee doesn't. That's a pretty good defense.
Yes.
At least it's been better in terms of its consistency and the way it's played, particularly at home the last few weeks. So, but I think that's the key. Just get pressure on him. But I think this is an important game for this defensive line, as we've seemed to talk about all year. But I think at this point of the year, obviously you are what you are, and so I think it's going to be a mixture of trying to get pressure at 4, but also bringing your backers and blitzing to try to. Because I do think that if Spencer Rattler has time, he's obviously capable of taking advantage of what's been a very inconsistent secondary at Clemson. Sort of been their weakness all year. But if you can get pressure on him and make him throw the ball early and he wants to, then obviously that lends itself to him the likelihood increasing of him making a mistake somewhere along the way.
Well, I'm going to flip that on you.
All right.
And I'm going to talk about DJ.
Okay.
DJ has the capability to play well. And to put Clemson in pretty good shape offensively. But also, as we've seen, he also, if you get pressure or whatever, even sometimes without the pressure, he has the ability to make the mistakes. So to me, I think Clemson's defense will play well enough to make sure they have a really good chance to win this game. If the offense does, good, they don't have to do great.
Right.
And I hate to say it, but it all comes down to the quarterback play.
Yeah.
Well, you talked about running the ball. I think the run will be good, be fine. They've used the tight ends like crazy last week. I think we'll probably see Bo Collins back this week. Coach has been saying day to day, but I think there's a good chance we'll see him, and Williams is going. So I think Clemson's got enough if they just don't make the mistakes. And obviously if Shipley goes out there and fumbles the ball, or Allen fumbles the ball, it's not just DJ turning the ball over. But I think this game all comes down to how the DJ plays, and I'm gonna say DJ because they're not really giving Cade any time, so it's DJ.
Yeah.
So if DJ comes out and plays well, then I think Clemson wins. It's just a matter of how much at that point. But We'll see. We don't know that answer. We've seen lots of different variations of that this
Yeah.
season, kind of
Yeah.
like South Carolina's seen different variations from their quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think too, that, if Clemson's going to sit here and keep turning the ball over all over the place, they better force a couple of their own
Yeah.
because it's been a fascinating dynamic because the key to any game, you would sit there and say, win the turnover margin.
Yeah.
And Dabo talks about it every week. Every coach talks about it every week. But yet Clemson has lost the turnover margin 4 straight games, and they're 3-1.
Yep.
Which now some of that I think has to do with the fact the last 2 games they've been able to force a couple and sort of negate that, shrink that margin, so to speak. So, you're right. I mean, you don't want to sit there and turn the ball over because I think the only way Clemson loses this game is if it beat itself.
Yep.
But if it's going to have multiple turnovers again, the defense needs to force a couple of its own.
All right, time for our predictions. The one you guys have been waiting for all year long. Davis, what you got?
I do think Clemson is going to turn the ball over some more.
What?
I do think Clemson is going to force some more turnovers. I think this is going to be very similar sort of to what we've seen the last couple of weeks. Vegas has got it as Clemson is a 2-touchdown favorite. I think that's about right. I think Clemson's the better overall team, and I don't think South Carolina's offense against this Clemson defense playing in its home stadium, I just don't think they're going to be able to move the ball consistently enough. Wouldn't be surprised if they get some more big plays, but I'm going to say Clemson 31, South Carolina 17.
31-17. Well, now I've got to make mine. I got bit Notre Dame. I was like, Louisville. It's like Clemson's finally putting everything together. And just didn't,
Until they don't.
didn't work. Or I guess it was Syracuse. I thought they would put it all together. It's just hard. I think South Carolina will get some points. I'm kind of like you. I don't think they're going to get a lot unless the defense just reverts to, bad defense, which we've seen a few times this year. But I think with it being in Death Valley, Clemson's defense just plays better there. They've won 40 straight. It is South Carolina, so everybody's going to be hyped up even though it's a noon game. And I do challenge the students to maybe try to get there by 11:30 so the hill will be full of people before the Tigers run down the hill. That would be great to see this week. I know 11:30 is early for students, depending on what they do the night before, but it'd be great to see a packed Death Valley when the game starts. But I think that's going to be a big factor this week. I think South Carolina may have a little bit of a, overhang from last week, which is hard not to. So I think, and this is the hardest part, is what the heck is Clemson going to do on offense? I think I'm going to kind of go with you. I'm going to think they're going to play. I'm going to say they're going to play 3 good quarters this week.
Okay.
They haven't played 4 all year. I don't think they'll play 4 because I know better.
Yep.
But I'm going to say they do more than just a half. So I'm going to go Clemson 38, South Carolina 10. 10 worked for me last week, so I'm going to go 10 again this week. And I think Clemson fans will be happy with either one. Win by 2 scores and move on to the ACC championship game next week. But we got a ton of stuff headed your way this weekend, so stay tuned to TCI. We're going to have all the coverage from the rivalry game, and then we will quickly change gears. A lot of focus on the playoff and focus on next week's ACC championship game. So stay tuned to TCI for the most complete coverage of Clemson football.
This is Miles Murphy. Make sure to check out Clemson Insider's most complete football coverage. Nobody does it better.